I didn't notice the door right away. It all started with the little things. From the feeling that something is wrong. It's not scary, it's not surprising, it's just uncomfortable. Like when you rearrange the furniture, but you don't remember it. I have lived in this apartment for 3 years. An old house, high ceilings, thick walls that kept the smell of paint and someone's past life. When I moved, I liked that it was simple. Kitchen, room, bathroom, long narrow corridor. No surprises. I knew every creak of the floor, every crack on the ceiling, every corner that darkened at night. That's why I noticed. It was on Tuesday. I came home after work, threw the keys on the bedside table and went to the kitchen. I turned on the light. The lamp clicked, as usual. Everything was normal. I put the kettle down, leaned against the wall and suddenly felt this strange familiar feeling, as if something is wrong. I went back to the corridor, and I saw the door. They were narrow, old, darker than the others. The wood is slightly curved, the handle is brass, darkened over time. They looked like they were always here, but they weren't there. I knew it. I lived here for 3 years. I painted the walls myself. I glued the wallpaper. There was no door here that I didn't see. At first I thought it was stupid. Maybe I just didn't pay attention. Maybe there was always a niche that I perceived as part of the wall. Memory is a strange thing. I came closer. He ran his hand over the tree. It was cold. And a little damp. It was as if the door was in a damp basement. I got a slight chill, but I brushed it off. Old house. Everything is old here. Nothing surprising. I pressed the pen. She didn't move. It's closed. I've been thinking about this door all night. I was lying in bed, looking at the ceiling and listening to the water flowing in the pipes. The house lived its own life. As always. But now there was something superfluous in him. A new shadow. A new corner of darkness. The worst part is that I've seen it. Not the door. And something. Behind them. When I finally fell asleep, I had a dream. I was standing in a long corridor. The light was yellow, dim. The walls are pale green, peeling. And somewhere far away is the door. The same. Dark. Narrow. I knew they were important. That I need to open them. I've discovered them before. But I didn't want to. Because I knew that if I opened it, I wouldn't come back. I woke up at 3:17. And the first thing I did was look into the corridor. The door was there. The next day I tried to behave normally. I even took pictures of them. I sent a photo to a friend with a caption. Listen, did you have that? It's like a new door has appeared in the apartment smiling face with open mouth and cold sweat. He replied with a smiley. Then he wrote, Are you serious? They look older than your apartment. I didn't answer, because at that moment I realized something else. In the photo, the door looked different, darker, older. It's like they weren't photographed today. And about 20 years ago. In the evening, I came home and immediately smelled it. Rawness, dust, and something else. Old, like a childhood that has rotted. I stood in the corridor and looked at the door. Suddenly, something clicked in my head. I remembered. Sleep. Not yesterday. Old man. Very old. I was 6 years old. I was lying in the children's room. At Grandma's. Old house. Wooden floor. Long curtains. And I was afraid to fall asleep. Because I dreamed of the corridor. And the door at the end. Dark. The same ones. I told my mom I didn't want to sleep. That someone is there. That the door sometimes opens by itself. Mom laughed. She said it was just a dream. And I forgot. Until this evening. I don't remember how I ended up in front of them. I just stood there at some point. And I looked at the pen. I knew they would open today. I don't know why I was sure. I just knew. I slowly stretched out my hand. And pressed. Click. The door opened. Without resistance. No squeak. And that was the worst. Because the old door always creaks. And these are not. There was a room behind them. Small. Dark. Without windows. And I immediately understood why she was familiar. Because I was here. In dreams. The walls are green, peeling. The floor is wooden, old. And the smell. The same smell. Old childhood. I took a step inside, and I felt the air getting thicker. Like water. It's like I've come to a place where time doesn't move. There was a chair in the corner. Small. Children. I knew him. I had one. Once. There was a toy on him. Bear. With a severed ear. I stopped breathing. Because it was my bear. I don't remember bringing it here. I didn't know where he was. He disappeared when I was 7. My mother said I had lost it. But I remembered something else. I remembered that I left it. Here. In the corridor from sleep. At the door. So that he looks. Let him know when they will open. The room got colder. I heard a sound. Quiet. Like a breath. I turned around abruptly. The door was open behind me. The corridor of my apartment was there. The light from the kitchen was falling inside. But something was wrong. It was longer. My corridor couldn't be that long. And the light was different. Yellower. Older. I took a step back. And then I heard. Voice. Children. Quiet. Behind the back. Your back. I froze. He slowly turned his head. Someone was sitting in the dark corner of the room. A small figure. Boy. With your back to me. Who are you? I whispered. He didn't answer. Just swayed back and forth. Like children who play alone. I've been waiting for you, he said. And I recognized the voice. Because it was my voice. I was covered with cold. Not fear. Something worse. Understanding. I took a step back. It's a dream. I said. You always say that, replied the boy. And he began to return slowly. I didn't want to see his face. Because I already knew what it was. The same. Mine. But younger. Empty. Paler. With eyes that saw something I didn't remember anymore. Why are you here? I whispered. He smiled. Strange. Not childish. Because you left me. And then I remembered. Something I didn't want to remember. That corridor was not just a dream. It was my way of escaping. When my parents quarreled. When I was afraid. When I couldn't sleep. I imagined the place. A long corridor. And the door. Behind which you can hide. And one day. I went too far. I remember the night. Dark. Long. I was sitting on the floor in the nursery. I imagined that corridor. And the door opened. Sami. And I came in. And I saw myself. Small. Frightened. And I left it there. Not to be afraid anymore. You locked me up, said the boy. And he took a step towards me. To become an adult. I shook my head. That's not true. Why didn't you remember me? I didn't answer. Because I knew. He was right. The room began to darken. The light from the corridor went out. I turned around. The door slowly closed. Sami. No. I whispered. I rushed to them. But the floor became soft. Like a swamp. Every step was harder. You can't go, said the boy quietly. Not this time. I looked around. He was already standing closer. Too close. And his eyes. They were black. Empty. Like a person that no one has taken away. I don't want to stay here. I whispered. He tilted his head. I didn't want to either. He stretched out his hand. Small. Cold. Now it's your turn. I screamed. And rushed forward. The last effort. The door was almost closed. Slit. Thin. Light from the kitchen. My world. My apartment. My life. I put my hand out. Then the shoulder. And at the last second he jumped out. And fell to the floor of the corridor. The door slammed behind me. I lay down for a long time. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Just listened. Silence. And then. Knock. From the inside. Quiet. Children. I didn't open them anymore. Never. I taped them. He pushed the closet in. Scored with boards. Moved in a week. I didn't take anything. Even a photo. But sometimes, when I wake up at 3:17, I can smell the dampness. And I remember. The door didn't disappear. I just left them to someone else. And worst of all, Sometimes it seems to me that I hear footsteps in the corridor, which no longer exists, and a quiet child's voice behind the door, which was not yesterday. I hash open door.